go. All right. I'm not going to sit here silent any longer because I know people are going to be watching this also at some point. So, tonight, I'm going to be doing reactions to Angry Cops and MrBallen for sure. Possibly Tom McDonald, not positive. So, the Angry Cops is going to take up a little bit of time. I want to say Angry Cops is probably at least 30 minutes. So, oh, what's going on, Derek? What's going on, Robert? What's going on, John? Sweet. Awesome. Make sure I put on live chat, too. Yo, what's going on, Trey? So, yeah, we're going to be starting off with this right here. This, because if this goes the way I think it's going to go, there's a lot that I have to say on this topic. Being injured in the military, because if you guys do know anything about me, that was something that I struggled with a lot, was getting hurt, because I did a lot of dumb shit when I was in the Army. You know, half of it was them telling me to do it. So, you know, it is what it is. But I'm going to go ahead and jump on into it.
Oh, I am still sore from that hernia surgery. I tell you what, I can't wait to get back in the gym! My drill sergeant sense is tingling, but that could only mean one thing. Soldiers are avoiding medical treatment because their command is going to counsel them for it. Oh no! Yeah! No malingering. Well, I'm sure that's what the commander and command sergeant major of 230 Infantry Battalion, woo, wild boars, thought when they decided that it was a...
Let me pause it real quick. If you guys don't know what malingering is, it's the term that they use for if you are taking too long to recover from an injury or you are faking an injury. That's what they call malingering. So you keep saying that you're hurt over and over and over again, and people, don't get me wrong, people play the system. We know this. But when you have somebody like myself who was actually injured and they started threatening me with Article 15s and shit like that for malingering, hey, malingering my fucking ass. So this one's gonna hit hard. It's gonna hit hard for me because this shit really makes me fucking angry. Because one of my biggest problems was, why are you gonna make these guys fear going to get themselves better? Aren't we about being a bigger, stronger army, a better army? And when your people are always hurt, that means the army's not gonna be doing so well. Funny how that fucking works, isn't it? You know, I just, me personally, I don't get it, never will. But I guess that's just, people are dickheads in the army. People are dickheads, and they feel like because they've been invincible their entire career, that others are. The others should be too. So, whatever.
Good idea to tell soldiers if you get trench foot or go down with hypothermia, you are gonna get an Article 15. Well, that's not gonna matter when they're warm and cozy in their cots and their guys are freezing out there. Not to them, at least. But let me break it down a little more for you. Earlier on this month, during a training event called Mountain Peak, the command sergeant major of the 230th was just like, hey, you know what? I don't want my young guys trying to malinger and get out of training just because they got a little feetsies hurt. No. I'm gonna give them an Article 15 and counsel them negatively if they decide that they're going to get sent back home because they're injured. Well, the commander thought that that was a hell of an idea too and signed off on it. During this training event, weather happened to be a factor. Oh, it's cold out there at Polk right now, rain and sleeting. It's almost as if an entire state of Texas got shut down because of the weather. Now, because the heavens opened up and rained down upon them in some chilly weather, of course, a bunch of soldiers ended up getting some trench foot, a little bit of frostbite. So many, in fact, that they went to the medics to get attention. A lot of people got pushed back saying, hey, you're just going to have to deal with it, guy. And those that had significant injuries ended up getting an Article 15 from the Sergeant Major. Well, isn't that just out fucking standing? Isn't there?
I gotta give a round of applause to that fucking command. You guys are fucking solid. You really put your guys' best interest at heart, huh? Jesus fucking Christ, man. Look, I dealt with some shit, but that's some fucking wild shit. Yo, what's going on? Yeah. So, what's up, Edgar? Yeah, dude, I don't get it, man. I definitely got hurt a lot, and don't get me wrong, it's fucking hilarious. The time frame when I always got hurt was pretty close to a fucking PT test, and it was because we decided we were gonna do some dumb shit pretty close to a fucking PT test, and well, guess who got fucking hurt? Me. Always. Fucking always. I always got fucking hurt. So then I go, I've actually got a good story about getting fucking hurt. When I was in Italy, actually, I think Edgar was on this trip, as a matter of fact. We went on this ski trip after we came back from Afghanistan. We did this like sledding ski trip type deal. And I was going down this mountain with my sled, and as I was going down the mountain, you know those like flags that the skiers go around and they smack the shit out of them? Well, that bitch, the base of it hit my fucking ankle, and that doesn't flex. So when I hit that thing, I was going as I couldn't even tell you how fast I was going. A lot faster than you should normally be going when you hit one of those. So my ankle hit that bitch, and I swear to God, I thought I broke my fucking ankle. Like, no shit, I have never, ever felt pain like that in a bone before. So I was like, shit, okay. They ended up having to carry me off because I could not put any weight on my ankle. Well, my platoon sergeant that was out there that day told me the next morning that I needed to go to the emergency room to go get checked out. And so I didn't go to first formation, and I get a phone call while I am sitting at the emergency room. And I'm getting cussed the fuck out. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Where the fuck are you? Why the fuck did you do that? Like, yo, dude, I'm just doing what I was told by an E6, man. Like, you're an E5. Dude, chill. Like, come on, man. I'm just doing what I was fucking told to do. And this dickhead, love him to death, still the homie, but Dom, you were a fucking shithead if you ever see this. So I do what I was told. I go there. I get put on fucking crutches, and then I come back, and they're still bitching at me. Like, why the fuck did you go down there? Like, dude, I'm on fucking crutches. Why the fuck do you mean? What the fuck do you mean? Why did I go down there? Why wouldn't I go down? Dude, I'm on crutches. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I needed to go to the hospital. They said the bruise that I got on my bone, they're like, dude, that you're not going to be able to walk for at least a week and a half. And they were right. I didn't walk for about a week and a half. I was on crutches, and then I got better. But they tried to counsel me twice. They tried to give me 2 counseling statements. Not 1, fucking 2. For me doing what I was told to do. And I remember Dom walks in, and he puts them down in front of me, and I looked at it, and I looked at him, and I went, what the fuck is this? And he's like, it's your counseling statements. I'm like, my counseling statements for fucking what? And he was like, because you went to the hospital. I said, so you're counseling me because I went and got medical attention that I needed to fucking get. That's why I'm getting counseled right now, because I did what an E6 told me to fucking do. You as the E5, right? That's what you're telling me. That's why you're counseling me. And he was like, yeah. And I went, this is fucking real. And he's like, well, you need to sign it. And I read it over and I went, the fuck I do. I don't agree with that. That's not how it went down. No, I don't agree with that. And I slid the first one over. And I read the second one. Fuck that. I ain't signing that shit either. And then E6 comes in and goes, you need to sign it. And I said, the fuck I am. I will not sign that shit. You can kiss my ass. But before I miss this, well, y'all get a damn second. Go ahead and pull them hands out your ass, wipe them down, sniff them to make sure they still smell, and throw one or two up. This said. Oh, thank you, Crystal, for the super chat. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, I got super chats now. That's so cool. This has gone a lot farther than I ever thought it would. Hey, Blue Falcon, you ever make me my cookies? Never. Don't expect it. Don't expect any cookies anytime soon either. Ever. If you expect cookies from Edgar, and if he made you a promise to do them, expect them in at least 5 years. At least 5. Don't. Nothing sooner than that. Oh, thank God. You actually got a fucking notification. Yeah, I noticed, they unsubscribed me from Art of Kicks. I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, dude, I love Art of Kicks. That's a real homie right there. I would love to just sit down and talk with him. Like, he's a very super smart guy, man. Super smart. Really, really like him. But, yeah, so I ended up telling him fuck off, obviously. They didn't really push me any farther. They were going to try and threaten Article 15, and I started laughing at them because I was already almost out of Italy at that point. So it was pretty fucking pointless what they were doing in the first place. And that's why I was like, you guys are dumb. You think I'm just going to take this shit and walk. Look, I'm a dumbass. I am, 100%. But I ain't that dumb. Not at all. So, but let's go ahead and keep going with this.
A line in the NCO creed where it says competence is my watchword. Your 2 basic responsibilities will be uppermost in your mind. What are those, Sergeant Major? What are those 2 responsibilities? The accomplishment of your mission and, ooh, what's that second one? So tricky. And the welfare of my...
Oh, thank you, Jason, for the $2 super chat. I appreciate it, brother. Yeah, thank you, Edgar. You're the fucking man, dude. I love you. That's why you the homie. Dude, you gotta let me know if you remember that ski trip that we went on in Italy. For sure. You gotta make sure you let me know if you remember doing that.
My soldiers! Boy, you just shot that right out of your ass, didn't you? Now, nobody would have known about this cover-up except for everybody's on social media, Sergeant Major. And a military Instagram account with a bunch of ties out there in Fort Polk decided to blow up that spot, and some of the soldiers decided to contact myself. Let's read those, shall we? So Sergeant Major Bakinski at 230th Infantry Battalion, 310 Mountain, decided that troops seeking medical attention for trench foot should be given an Article 15, which resulted in enlisted Joes and NCOs alike getting hammered with Article 15s, because so many of them are fall out left and fucking right because of the goddamn weather. Something you just can't fucking control, Sergeant Major. But hey, confidence is your watchword. More like incompetence. So many people with trench foot, their med roll had to start turning them away. Dudes with yellow ass fucked up feet. You know what's really great is when your command teaches you to not use the medical attention that's given to you. I mean, hey, it's not like that would affect anything else like PTSD. I wonder how their mental health screenings are going. So bad that even an officer decided to chirp up. And good for you, sir. I'm an infantry officer in 310. Can't confirm that this is true. My whole platoon was fucked up beyond belief by the cold on the nights they were talking about. Sub 40-degree weather, soaking freaking wet. Company was ordered to halt, arbitrary phase line, sat there for a while, which directly resulted in 5 hypothermia cases. I wonder if those hypothermia cases decided to go get medically checked.
Dude, I gotta stop it right here because this is another thing that I said, wow, is it a lot? Look, I know we're supposed to push ourselves, and I completely agree with that concept. But what I don't agree with is why you're taking a dude that's 125 fucking pounds and taking a dude that's 350 fucking pounds, putting him on his fucking back and telling him, go. That was something I never fucking understood. And then when he gets hurt, Then you fucking sit there and you want to talk shit to him. Like he's the fucking moron. No, you're not gonna. This is one of those things where you're not gonna pin it on the fucking private. Take a little fucking responsibility. Have a little fucking integrity, asshole. Actually own up to the fact that you're a fucked up human being and you thought it was fucking hilarious. But why don't you be honest with the army? Why don't you tell the army what you really feel about the army? Because if you actually gave a shit about the fucking army, you would give a shit about the readiness of your fucking unit. The readiness of the fucking men who are trusting that you're not gonna do something to fucking hurt them. How about that? I believe in the leadership that is within the ranks, and there is great fucking leadership within the ranks of the military. But what I don't fucking believe in is intentionally going after people to fucking hurt them. Because you think it's fucking hilarious. You're a fucking moron. And you are the reason that I couldn't fucking stand half of my leadership, because most of them were like that. You're a fucking idiot. Open your eyes to what you're doing. Push the soldiers. Don't kill the soldier. Which, I've got some fucking stories about that kind of shit too. So maybe I'll get into that. That's some more Italy shit. Some of the dark shit. But let me check chat real quick too before I jump back into this. Hey, yeah, Lucky Vet, what's going on, man? Yeah. Yo, what's going on, Jace Cole? Yeah, it's been a long ass time, man. I ain't seen you around in a minute. And that's just it. Thank you, Lucky Vet. Thank you. Fucking thank you. That's it, man. My fucking soldiers, when your job as an NCO is to be a fucking mentor. That's what your job is as an NCO. Your job is to be a fucking mentor. You are raising soldiers. So why the fuck wouldn't you raise a soldier the way that you would want to be fucking treated as a fucking man and as a human fucking being? That's what I want to know. Because I had some shit fucking leadership. I'll tell you what. Let me throw a scenario out there. Blistering fucking hot. You're working on the goddamn asphalt. Getting fucking weeds out the motherfucking cracks. And what would you rather happen to you? Would you rather your NCO come out and say, I want you to do this, and then go back into the air conditioning? And then come out, another 45 minutes later, come out, see everybody sweating and dying and going, why the fuck isn't it done yet? What the fuck? Well, I'll tell you right now, I was the guy who would go, well, it'd probably go a little faster if you came and helped us. Excuse me? You heard me. I didn't give a fuck. My favorite leadership, the best leadership, was the one who came out and said, this is about to be a fucking suckfest, but I'm in it with you. Let's get this shit knocked out. I'm a suck with you. That's a fucking leader. A leader never eats first. A leader makes sure that his men eat first. You want to talk true leadership? You never think about yourself first. It's everybody else comes before you. That's a true leader. And that is what is fucking lacking in our military and has been lacking, God, since I got out in 14. So that shit drove me nuts. It drove me nuts. And I can't stand it. You act like other people can't be human. Look, people make mistakes. My thing was always don't make the same mistake twice. Depending on severity of it. Look, I understand people are going to be late. People are going to be fuck ups. Look, I was definitely not fucking perfect. Not even close. But I also had some alcohol problems, and thank God I had decent leadership that didn't fuck me too hard on that. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and keep going on this here.
5 hypothermia cases. I wonder if those hypothermia cases decided to go get medically checked out to make sure there wasn't any more issues, or were they afraid to get checked up on because Sergeant Major's up there, big dick swinging, making sure that you better be treated. I don't want no fucking. Now after this incident, those Article 15 still stand. There were soldiers that were injured, got an Article 15, and they're still getting that Article 15. I can only imagine what happens if you get shot. Probably dishonorably discharged, right, Sergeant Major? You could go to the hospital if you ask, but if you ask, you're a malingerer who thought this was a good idea. Oh, that's right, the battalion commander and Sergeant Major. Oh, that's who thought it was a good idea.
Oh my God.
Nonsense like this needs to get pushed up the chair. What's that? The Sergeant Major of the Army decided that he's gonna check into it? Well, holy shit. It's working, boys. It's working. Oh, speaking of malingerers.
I'm Dirtbag Pride. I'm going to add my 2 cents in here and give you a little bit of advice after the fact. Now, some young soldiers in that fucking 230th shenanigan had a good idea and decided to come down with the COVID before they even went out on that exercise. Hats off to you, because you tried.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. But there was the whole thing that went down with the swearing in, where they were like, if you were a Trump supporter, you weren't allowed to be there. I'd have been like, I'm a motherfucking Trump supporter. Shit, whether I voted for him or not. Gets me the fuck out of this detail. Trump supporter. Me. And yet again, that's something else. Oh, we gonna go do some dumb shit? Like what? Like, we gonna go do some real dumb shit? I think I might got the I think I might got the coof, man. I might. My throat hurt. That's exactly how that would have gone down. I ain't going on no dumbass bullshit like that, because that's the kind of shit that happens.
Took my advice and skipping away than doing your own thing with a little bit of coronavirus instead of freezing your balls off in the cold, getting yourself a negative counseling statement. The only thing worse than being out in the cold all night is having poorly shaved and manicured balls. If you think trench foot is nasty, I guarantee you after a week and a half in the field, your balls ain't no pretty picture either. Which is why I support Manscaped's Performance Package, where you can get the Lawnmower 3.0 for shaving your nibbly bits downstairs in that hard to reach grundle area. You even got ball conditioners, cleansers, sprays, and if you're older now, they give you a free freaking gift. You just make sure you use code ANGRYCOPS20 to get yourself 20% off of your order today. And you let them know that Dirtbag Private sent you. Trust me, your balls will thank you. Now, where's my knife?
So Sergeant Major Bakitsky? Okay. Sergeant Major of 230 and 3. Oh, fuck.
Fuck that drill song.
Oh shit, man. Oh my God, it's fucking great. I fucking love Angry Cops, man. Oh shit. And if you guys can't figure out what's coming next, the reason I watched that was because I started to watch this one that I've got right here, and he said I needed to watch this one first because supposedly he got contacted. So somebody reached out and tapped him on the shoulder. Said, excuse me there, dirtbag Pratt. Let me jump in the chat real quick.
If you haven't watched...
All right. Lead by example, meaning you gotta dig mud. The leader is the first one in the mud digging, damn it. Goddamn fucking right. That's how it should be. And not only that, but don't tell anybody who's underneath you, leadership-wise, don't ever fucking tell somebody to do something you wouldn't fucking do as your own self. Ever. You're fucking off a human being if you do that to somebody. Lead by example. Fuck no. Never gave directions without doing along with them. You're training them to be future leaders, so lead by goddamn example. You're fucking A right. Dude, fucking A, man. His plugs for that shit is so amazing. What's going on, Taco? Yeah, dude, I absolutely love his plugs. I am not anywhere near that fucking creative. So I don't know how he pulls it off. I would have to do like 950 million fucking takes on some shit like that. That I would be horrible. I'd be awful at it. But all right, let's go ahead. Oh yeah, dude. Deadpool. I love Deadpool. He's my favorite. We lovers. All right, let's jump into this shit.
My previous video about soldiers being counseled negatively, getting an Article 15 for being injured, you need to watch that first, then come back. Because this video has to do with my follow-up, I guess you would call it an investigation, along with a phone call that I received from 230's battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Jackman. Just so we don't lose one another here, I'm going to try and break this down in a timeline that is easily consumable. I'm first going to talk about the scenarios that happened after I posted the video, the people that called me, and the back and forth flow of information that I received regarding Article 15s given out to soldiers who were injured during a mass training event. Following that, I'm going to give you a breakdown of all the information that I received, verified by individuals that were either there or were in direct contact with somebody that saw it firsthand. I'll leave some more of the he said, she said for the end of it to try and paint a broader picture of what I think is an issue in this battalion. And this all is going to culminate at the end with an AAR. And if you're not sure what an AAR is, you're not in the military, don't get our lingo. It's an after-action review. Which means once I'm done giving you all the facts, I'm going to break down what should be happening to correct this situation. All right. Hold on to your butts. We're going to call this portion phone calls. This is about the phone calls I received from Lieutenant Colonel,
what's going on, Eric?
special guests that we're going to bring up.
Thanks for hanging out, man.
Individuals that I talked to at 230 to verify information that they had given to me, or that I had posted, or additional information that I didn't have during the first video. It all begins within a couple hours after posting the original video. I get a text message from my NCOIC, and he says, a Lieutenant Colonel Jackman from 230 wants to talk to me and asks if I'm okay with that. And I say, absolutely. This is the first time ever that somebody that I may have corrected or brought up some boneheaded decision in one of my videos has decided to contact me directly. Here's what our 15-minute conversation consisted of. He believed that I was being misled by a group of trolls that were intentionally bad-mouthing the unit just for lulz. Message this meme account that began, I guess you would say, the notoriety that 230 now has, who then caught my attention and I posted the video on. So he says, those people are trolls. After providing me with his scenario that these soldiers were just a bunch of random trolls intentionally trying to mislead me, he continued on by saying that the sergeant major is a good sergeant major. And I wouldn't expect any battalion commander not to back up his sergeant major. But that's not what this was about. He then told me that there were no Article 15s given out. And I asked him directly, did you sign any Article 15s? He says, no. And I said, were there any Article 15s given out? And he said, no. Now, I asked these two questions intentionally because they are very different. Being issued an Article 15, someone telling you you are going to get one, and you believing that you will in fact get one because they hold a position of power over you, and the commander signing an Article 15, completing its process, are two different things. But we'll get back to that. He also added that CID, on his request, began an investigation into this. And without giving away any names or any additional information I didn't think that he had, I brought up a few questions.
I don't believe that at all.
One of them was, why did the sergeant major go over comms over the radio?
Look, and most officers won't. I'm sorry, when you're that far up the chain. Look, so when Edgar and I were in Afghanistan, XMC, our battalion brigade commander, was Lieutenant Colonel Johnson, and Lieutenant Colonel Johnson decided he was going to steal foo funds while we were over there. And then, on top of that, he was going to downgrade all of our ARCOMs to AAM. So Edgar and I both got an AAM for Afghanistan the first time around. You know, an award that was given to us also for cleaning up trash out of the Hodge area over there. Yeah. Same award. We got two of those. Not an ARCOM for risking our fucking lives and, what normal units would get for being in a combat environment in ARCOM. No, we were downgraded to an AAM. And I even have the paperwork, and I can go get the paperwork and show you where this motherfucker hand jammed and crossed out what we were supposed to get and hand wrote in AAM. So I'm still fucking salty. And guess what? He also got caught. So fuck that motherfucker. I hope they rammed it right up your fucking ass, you douchebag.
And request a soldier's information regarding an Article 15. He responded that the Sergeant Major was most likely calling down to the, we're going to call it the med roll, in order to get soldiers' information regarding them being a cold casualty, not to give them Article 15s, which is where I caught him off guard in our conversation when I said, no, he went over the air, the comms, the radio, and asked for soldiers' information regarding chapter paperwork. And if you're unfamiliar with that term, that means you're going to be Article 15'd. Now, I didn't get a response.
Could have at least made it with, like, valor, you know?
From the commander regarding why the Sergeant Major was going over comms, requesting a soldier's individual information for chapter paperwork. But we did end the conversation with this agreement, that I would go on to contact all the individual soldiers that contacted me regarding this, verify their information, really dig down deep and try to figure out whether or not an Article 15 was given, or if this was just a bunch of soldiers unhappy with the training environment and just blowing off steam in the wrong way against their command. And after...
You know, I'm going to pause this real quick and just remind something from the last video. He was contacted by another officer. Now, if anybody knows anything, enlisted stick together and officers stick together. We all know this. For the most part. That's always how it's been. That's been the clique. Not many officers usually get in with the enlisted guys. So, when you got an officer coming out saying, hey, there's a red flag here, it's something you probably want to pay attention to. So that, I feel like that's going to be coming up here, though. Just, like I said, I want to remind everybody.
After that, I would be in contact with the commander, texting him back and forth, letting him know some of the information that I found or whether or not this entire story was verified. Now, this brings us to the day after I posted the video and received the phone call from the 230 commander. The battalion commander's wife
What's going on, Mario?
called me on my personal phone number, which she said originally that she had gotten from Brigade. Now, I don't know who in Brigade gave out my personal phone number, but I'm pretty sure given...
Oh, Lucky Vet, let me tell you about that fucking shit. Yeah. Completely understand that. I think our first sergeant and our commander both got Bronze Stars for that deployment. You know, I thought a Bronze Star actually meant something at one point until I saw that kind of horse shit and the way it just kind of got handed out like fucking candy to people. Don't get me wrong, there are people out there who got their Bronze Stars and fucking deserve them. Absolutely. But there are also those out there who got Bronze Stars just because they were there. So don't ever let anybody take their awards and shove them in your fucking face and you soak up all their bullshit. Because guess what? Not everybody's worth that fucking reward. Some people, it just gets given to them because they got the motherfucking rank for it. So, I'm pretty sure, most of the high command, so we're talking 06 and above, if I'm not mistaken, most of them, it's Bronze Star with Valor and above. For them just doing a fucking deployment and being there. It just gets thrown at their chest. But the only way that, you know, private's going to get something like that is they have to damn near die. That's fucking wrong. Y'all, so you served more honorably than he did, but you never left the fucking wire. Oh, I didn't realize you were that fucking important. My bad. Man, I am really digging the military on this one. Jesus Christ. I am dogging the shit out of them. What's going on, Brittany? Thanks for coming to hang out. I'm on the warpath with the fucking military right now and all the bullshit that they pulled and continue to pull with soldiers. and why command pisses me off, and why these awards piss me off, and how these motherfuckers don't actually have to work to get their awards. They don't actually have to go out of the wire and potentially die like the soldiers that they send. So, you know, I experienced it. We had our commander at one point, we were going to go out on a late night mission, came out, shook every single one of our hands, had never done that before, right before we left the wire. We were okay that night, and I remember when he did it, it made me feel really fucking weird about that night. Like, something just was so fucking off, because he had never done that before, ever. The next day, we found out there was supposed to be a complex ambush set up for us, and basically we're supposed to be the bait. They never told us. So, yeah, I love the military. I do. I love the guys that I got to serve with. A lot of my command I had problems with, but it's kind of because I can see through a lot of their bullshit. So it's just kind of how it goes.
Giving away soldiers' personal information to non-military members is a no-no. Now, Mrs. Jackman's and my conversation touched on several topics. She was having trouble understanding how one soldier could do this, make my video and post it to another soldier. She was also questioning how I verified any of the individuals that gave me this information and whether or not they were credible. She added that this was a gross misrepresentation of what was actually going on. But when I asked her if she could tell me, well, what was going on? What can you tell me that contradicts anything that I put in the video? She played dumb, and not even well. It's not my lane. I'm just a civilian. Oh, I'm just the commander's wife. I don't get involved. I'm not even there for FRG meetings. This is really over my head. Complete nonsense. You're bedfellows. I know you know more than that, but we'll stop it at that. We continue our conversation. She once again questions the soldiers that try to give me this information. Are they sick of the Army in general? Are they disgruntled? Are they getting out of the Army?
Let me interject. And this would have been my interjection to her as just human being. How much bullshit does your husband have to deal with on a daily basis, or does he tell other people the bullshit that they're gonna have to deal with for the day? I'll wait. I'm sorry, you're not gonna tell me that you feel that soldier is wrong when 90% of the time it's coming out of your dumbass fucking mouths. You're not gonna tell me that. The problem with most of you fucking officers and the colleges that you went to, college doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean that you're smart. It's not hard to sit in front of a fucking book and memorize shit. That doesn't make you intelligent. What makes you intelligent is actually having the competency to see further than just saying words and what those actions are actually going to incur. The consequences that come from those actions. You guys don't think about that 90% of the time. You just blurt some dumb shit out, and then afterwards you're like, we're gonna see where it goes from here, guys! And then you fucking get people killed. I'm sorry, I have a big fucking problem with that. Those officers that we got that were like, I'm an officer, you're gonna listen to me? Yeah, it's about to be a rude motherfucking awakening for you, sir. Sorry, but it is. I don't play that shit. I don't give a fuck who you think you are. If you've never experienced it before, you better sit the fuck down, bitch, before you tell me about the experience that you have, that you don't have. Or when you come up to somebody who has experienced it before and then you start trying to tell them how they're supposed to do it, shut the fuck up, sir, and sit the fuck down. Because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Or ma'am, I don't give a fuck. Either or. You are not going to tell these guys who have the actual experience in something how to do it when you have zero fucking experience. You read it in a fucking book. You've never actually fucking done it in your goddamn life. Shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down. And this doesn't even only apply to the military. This applies to all aspects of life. If you got a dude who's been doing it for 40 fucking years and you're not listening to him because you came out of college and you know fucking everything, Sit the fuck down, moron. They didn't teach you everything in a book. They have not. They haven't taught you about the corrosion levels of shit in a book. Not that you're going to see in real life. Not in the speed that you're going to see it in real life. Okay, you read about it. But there's a difference between reading about it and actually having applied it in real life. And that is a big problem I just see with society in general. You think because you have that fucking degree that you're smarter than somebody? No, you just wasted a fuck ton of money to take longer in doing school than me so that I could get proficient and then still tell you how it needs to be done. But you just have that degree to get paid more. Yeah, okay. But do you really do more? Because most of the time you don't. Let me actually jump into chat real quick, and then I'm going to jump back into this because I'm having some fun tonight. My uncle got 2 Bronze Stars, one with Valor in Vietnam, but he got shot while throwing a grenade. He dove on it to save his money. And that's it. That right there, that is, honestly, that to me is deserving of more than a Bronze Star, but I mean, I'm glad that he was actually recognized, but that's what I'm saying. That should have been more. It should, that to me should have been at least a Silver Star or more. Like, man, that's insane. Like, dude, got busted from E6 to E5 for calling out the Colonel's bullshit. My fucking man. Yes, sir. That is what I'm talking about. Look, we had a dude when I was in, he got punched in the fucking face one time. Got hit one fucking time right here, and it was the cleanest shot I ever saw in my fucking life. Broke this dude's jaw in 3 fucking places. 3 places, 1 punch. Broke it here, here, and here. Dude had and this is somebody I had problems with. I had said, let's go out back and let's handle our fucking business quite a few times, and it never happened. We'll say that. He just continued to run his mouth, but knew that if I put my hands on him, that I would have gotten fucked up too. So, and I'd already gotten fucked up at that point in my military career, so I didn't need to do it again. Which I never saw the rank of E5, and if anybody can imagine as to why that would be, bet you can't figure that one out. Lucky bet, I bet you can't figure out why I never saw E5. Yep, actions do speak louder than words, and that's get pissed when they degrade Bronze Star handing. Yep, I agree. I completely agree. Yeah, no, and I agree with you, Trey, man. That's truth. That's something like I had to get right with the fact that I can't get back in the military. There's no way I'm going back in. My back is just too far gone for me to be able to go back in. I would love to. I really would, because they need my mentality back in there, maybe to create some actual fucking soldiers. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's really up to you. All you can do is get educated as to what. Try and get into contact with some soldiers. Not sitting here saying like become buddy with soldiers just to talk to them about what's going on in the army. Just if you got some friends that are soldiers, talk to them and talk to them about what the temperament of everybody is like. Because that's something that I do every so often. I'll call up my buddies and just, talk to them and be like, dude, what's going on? Where is everybody mentally right now? How are the soldiers? Like, are they good soldiers or are they lazy pieces of shit? You can get a good read off of it. But right now, I would say be very careful because I was in under the Obama administration, and it was not fun at all whatsoever. So I had my good times, but there was a lot of shit showedness while I was in. Exactly. See, and that's just it. The soldiers I was most proud of were when it came to a punishment, when the NCO would look at him and go, do you want a counseling statement or do you want to handle this? Do you want corrective action? And they would go, corrective action. And I'd smile and go, my fucking man. That's That's a fucking soldier right there. I do that shit made me proud when I'd hear that shit. Because that's being a fucking soldier. Take your fucking punishment. Cause yourself a little fucking pain. And I bet you never forget the fucking lesson. Bet you never will. Yeah, I was E4 Mafia. Yep. E4 Mafia. My thing was like, that's something else I don't like about the army is they're always pushing and telling people they have to go farther. Dude, I wanted to be a career E5. I loved working with soldiers. That was my shit. Like, I absolutely love spending all my time with soldiers. I loved being out there with the soldiers. That shit, I ate that shit up, man. I loved it. Because I got to mentor these guys. I got to show them, tell them what good leadership was. When a shitty leader would come out and tell us to do some bullshit, I always remind him, remember, you didn't like how this felt. Remember that. For when you have soldiers one day. You didn't like when they did this shit. So, yeah, they're definitely softer than fucking ice cream right now, dude. It's wild. The stories that I've heard thus far, they're scary, to say the least.
Are they getting kicked out of the Army? Now, Mrs. Jackman added a little bit of a jab and said, I don't understand why you would do this. It must be for the money that you make. It's got to be for the money, otherwise I couldn't understand why you would do this. Which I think is perfect timing to let you know that this video is sponsored by Dude Bag. Now, Dude Bag is the perfect monthly subscription for anybody that's a military member, outdoorsman, and survivalist. Each bag is valued at well over $100, but that's not the price that you pay. There are even special edition D bags that focus around pop culture themes like John Wick, Mad Max, or this one right here, Super Troopers. Anybody ready for a mustache ride? Glasses, a toque, and a shot of maple syrup, eh? A sturdy duty bag with hearing protection and hinge cuffs. And my personal favorite, Billy Club. Woo! Back! The link is in the description. Punk. Now, where was I? That's right. Continuing our conversation with the Lieutenant Colonel's wife. She brought up the fact that I should be more aware of how my videos affect people that I make them on. You know, her husband and the Sergeant Major. She added that I should be thinking about things from her husband's perspective. And I said, well, once again, aren't the soldiers' perspectives valid? And she said I was playing devil's advocate. We moved on. She wanted me to remove the video, and I told her I would not. I informed her that the opposite would happen. That after having a conversation with her husband, the battalion commander of this unit, I would be delving deeper into the sources that I had and the information that I was given, and then be making a secondary video on that information. Unfortunately for her and her husband, I told her that the information coming in addition to what I was already verifying from the original post, was not looking good. In fact, all the information I had was verifying my story and then adding additional context to what was going on. Just before hanging up, though, I did bring up the fact that she still got my number. Now, here's a little bit of foreshadowing. Feeling that her husband and now her phone call were somewhat disingenuous, I decided to check and see how she came about my number, already knowing full well that she had divulged to me that she received it from someone in brigade. I asked her where she got my phone number from, and she said she didn't remember. And I said, well, my personal safety is kind of a big deal. I don't want my personal information floating around on the internet. And she said, well, I got it from your website. And I said, well, that's not true. She goes, well, I found it from your domain, and then I Googled it. I go, you Googled it. How do you Google my name? She's like, I don't know. I was so upset that I just Googled it, and I found it. Okay, then what website did you go to from Google that got you my phone number? She couldn't tell me. I understood. I said, you know what? I decided to end the conversation there, but ask her that if she could text me the website whenever she would find it, if she could, I would be most appreciative. She responded to me moments after hanging up with callercenter.com. And if you would like to visit callercenter.com to show you that there is no way in hell that she got my number from that, be my guest.
But in case you don't want to go, it's basically a website designed to assist businesses in properly calling and reaching out to individuals, their customer base.
Oh my God.
Hours later in the day, my NCOIC from my unit calls me to tell me that a major called from that brigade stating that he was the brigade lawyer and wanted to confirm my information, verify.
Oh, super chat. We got $5 from I'm gonna fucking butcher the shit out of this. Is that Archiet? I don't know. Dude, I am so sorry. But started late but started the stream over. I like the no holds barred content. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, absolutely. I would never ever allow somebody to tell me how I need to speak and who I am as a person. That was something that was done to me a lot of my life, and I've always been against it. I've always fought against it. I've always been rebellious against people telling me who to be. So that'll never change. I will always say what needs to be said. So, Acidic Wheels, we got $2 super chat from Acidic Wheels, joining 11 Bravo. You are a great channel. I appreciate it, man. Awesome. Make sure you take care of yourself as infantry. You guys are fucking bad motherfuckers. And don't hate all your pogues too much, okay? Look, I may have been a pogue, but I did a lot of that grunt shit, man. It's why my fucking feet are still destroyed to this day. The Edgar and I probably put in over 600 miles on our feet in Afghanistan in the year that we were there. So I would say that that's pretty solid estimate. But yeah, I appreciate the super chats. Let's go ahead and jump back in.
My contact information. Now, I've never heard of the official title of brigade lawyer before. I've heard of JAG, I've heard of CID, and other investigative units within the military, but I've never heard of I'm the brigade lawyer. Either way, a little bit of a red flag. But now that we're all caught up with the phone calls the day of and after I posted the video, I'm now going to give you the information that I've been receiving for the past week since posting that video. These are the nitty-gritty facts and a somewhat put-together timeline of what happened during Mountain Peak and these Article 15s that were given out from the Sergeant Major. Feel free to zoom in on this as much as you want. I haven't written down anyone's names who've told me information, although I do have individuals who were directly affected by this. Our story begins when the 230 Battalion arrives at the training grounds. Sergeant Major informally addresses the majority of the battalion. They're gaggled around in a large group, and he tells the majority of the battalion, anyone going to roll 1 or 2 for something as minor as your feet, I will Article 15 you.
I'm gonna pause it right fucking there and straight up say, your feet are not fucking minor. And if you are that stupid and you actually fucking believe your feet are fucking minor, if you can't run, you can't walk, you can't fucking get away, you are nothing. You die. This is coming from a fucking survivalist here. If you don't have legs, you can't go anywhere, which means you die. Hello, we're in the army, are we not? And in the army, we practice survival skills. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Y'all motherfuckers are retarded, man. Like, Jesus. How slow are you fucking people? And these are the people who are supposed to be leading our military. Has anybody woken up to the fact that a lot of the bullshit happening right now happens in the fucking military? It's just as fucking bad. Look, these are not the... I know we all want to sit here and say, thank you, thank our military this, thank our military that, and I agree. But god damn it if there ain't some dumb motherfuckers in the military who are in positions that they shouldn't be. They got there because they sucked enough fucking dick and have permanent calluses on their fucking kneecaps. Have little beds made under fucking people's desks. I mean, that's really, you want to know fucking facts, that's the facts. Facts is, these motherfuckers get their fucking rank most of the time by sucking dick and living under a motherfucker's desk. I was never that guy, hence why I stayed at fucking E4. I never would be that guy. I won't suck a dick to get anywhere. You can lick my ass for that.
As the battalion goes through the training event, the weather begins to bear down on them. A medic with a soldier attempts to take that soldier to one of the med rolls in order to get medical attention, but a first sergeant advises the medic not to take the cold cat to any of the med rolls due to the sergeant major's directive. The 68 whiskey, or the medic, decides that he's going to take his chances knowing that he may be negatively counseled and takes the soldier to the med roll.
That's good motherfucking
Numerous
doc.
soldiers neglect to go to the med roll, fearing that they would get an Article 15. Now here's where things get interesting. Later on, the sergeant major is seen at the med roll, where he berates an NCO and 2 lower enlisted for using the med roll for their trench foot or hypothermia. The sergeant major singles out the NCO and rips his ranger tab off, making a statement to the effect that he doesn't deserve it because rangers don't go to the med roll for trench foot.
He better have had his fucking tab if he did some shit like that. I tell you right fucking now. I'm sure y'all just see me go. Like, dude, that's fucking fighting words right there. Like, that's a fuck your rank. I'm gonna fuck you up as a human being shit. And that's the thing, man. A lot of you officers out there keep fucking forgetting that what's on your fucking chest is a piece of motherfucking cloth. It's a piece of fucking cloth. Remember that. You can't take that shit with you when you leave this earth. So don't let it go to your head. Be a good fucking human being. Because, you know, fratricide always happens.
These soldiers are told that they will be receiving Article 15s and being demoted from the sergeant major. Later on, the sergeant major is heard over comms, the radio, requesting the information of those soldiers to begin the chapter paperwork. Soldiers begin to reach out to a military meme account describing what's going on and how soldiers are being given Article 15s for injuries during a training event. After the Instagram account put out this information, to quote one soldier, 230 was in a tailspin. Following the Instagram account's information going public, Lieutenant Colonel then begins a CID investigation. Now, the CID investigation is not into the demotions, the Article 15s, or the Sergeant Major and his directive. It instead is looking into the military meme account that had posted the information and trying to identify the soldiers involved in messaging and giving information to this meme account. Unfortunately for one Bravo Company platoon leader, this lieutenant, who put out information that is not inflammatory whatsoever, merely just a statement of how the weather affected his troops, was removed from his position as a platoon leader.
I told you guys. I told you guys. I knew he was going to come back up. I told you. When you have an officer pointing out how fucked up other officers are, that says a lot about what's going on in that unit. It really does. It tells you who you can actually trust and who you should go to. And see, I will be one to say, the IG, you run the IG, what, you think there ain't IG in fucking first sergeant pockets too? It happened to me. I didn't go to IG, but I know somebody that did. And their concerns were never taken seriously because of who the individual was that they were against, and they never saw any type of trouble for it. And it had to do with sexual harassment. Funny how that fucking works, isn't it?
The soldiers that have informed me of how this lieutenant was removed from his command as a platoon leader are unaware as to where he is being placed currently. And this brings us to the end, which is that the soldiers who were verbally counseled by the command sergeant major in regards to their Article 15s and
we got acidic wheels with 5. Have you seen Space Force Basic Training by Angry Cops? No, I have not, but I would definitely, that is definitely something that we are going to be doing a reaction to, so I will definitely be checking that out. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, brother.
Emotions received no follow-up. For weeks afterward, the
Oh, my bad. I don't want to make any assumptions here. You know, this is a general neutral zone. So if I offended you, I apologize.
Soldiers that had been threatened with Article 15s and demotions were walking around in limbo. Now that ends the second portion of this video regarding the information that I had originally received, its verification, and then additional information that was also verified and given to me between now and the day that I posted that first original video. Now, before we go into the AAR, or the after action review, I have a couple questions and statements that I'm gonna put out that do need to remain separate from the first two parts of this video. After our initial phone call, I never called Lieutenant Colonel Jackman back, and here is why. Everything from him and his wife felt disingenuous. Why in the world would he call me just to lie to me? Is it because he thinks I'm dumb? Does he think that I just spout off random jokes on the internet without verifying or looking up any of the information that I put out? Or does he think that I'm lazy and that I won't actually call up the people that gave me this information to verify any of it? During our phone call,
I'm gonna try and confuse you. Are you sure you're not a man that identified as a woman that has now decided that they're gonna re-identify as a man?
congratulated me on hitting over 800,000 followers in 3 years and that it was an impressive jump. And I told him, well, I've gotten this far because I take what I do seriously, and then I investigate some of the things and stories that I talk about. I don't want to seem uneducated, nor would I want to portray myself as that. And to continue with how I felt his call was disingenuous,
It's a bad motorcycle.
Back to when I asked him whether or not he signed an Article 15. The way that he answered my questions just had that air of pomposity that officers often have when they're talking to a lower enlistment who they don't respect. I could immediately feel the game that was being played. Oh, I'll say that I never signed it, and he can request for Article 15s because they never existed, although they were verbally given by the Command Sergeant Major. If the Sergeant Major of your battalion tells you you are demoted or you are getting an Article 15, then that is a fact. It is written in stone. There is no arguing it. It is the future. A verbal counseling is a legitimate form of counseling in the Army. And if that means that he tells you you're getting demoted or you're getting an Article 15, it's the same thing as him saying, we're slotting you for drill sergeant school, you don't have a choice, or you're going to be moved to this company. These are things within his power. He may not be the signing authority on it, but he can push those changes into effect and then request a signature from the commander, and it's done. So yes, he did issue out Article 15s, and he demoted soldiers. What also confuses me is how he wanted me to further investigate it. It's almost like watching an episode of The First 48 where they have some guy dead to nuts for a murder, and then he goes, yeah, I need you to investigate it. I'm gonna help you. I'll tell you all this information, thinking that these officers must believe that, wow, a guilty man must never ever say that he wants more investigation or police work. He's thrown me off his trail, boys. A CID investigation has started, and what does it look into? It looks into soldiers that are trying to tell people, hey, something's messed up and we need a helping hand over here, and you're burning them at the stake? Burning them at the stake. Wow, how disingenuous can a conversation with one man and his wife be? And I say both because
obviously I'm preaching to the choir here when you think I'm talking to angry cops. No, because he and I both know the same fucking truth is that most anybody who's an E06 and above is most of the time a piece of shit. Like you're looking at you hit about a 95% rate there. That most people you run into that are high ups like that are pieces of fucking garbage because they've stepped on so many fucking people to be where they are. You want to know the truth of it? They've stepped on so many fucking people, they don't even know that they're doing it anymore because it's so fucking normal for them. So this is what you get. And then you get the whole wife that plays into it and thinks that she's also a colonel as well in the military. Because, that's generally how it goes, too. Because even generals' wives, they like to feel like they're generals also. So, it's so fucking stupid. And I will say this about CID. CID is not awful. Now, the only thing I didn't like about CID when I was in is when they, showed up at like 12:30 in the fucking morning, beating my fucking door down, saying we need to interview right now, and I'm like, it's 12:30 at night, and I have to be up at 2. What the fuck, dickhead? Fuck off and leave me alone. No, we have to talk to you, or you could go to talk to everybody, at an hour when we're not fucking sleeping. Holy fuck, that's. Never heard of that shit before. So fucking stupid.
Isn't it strange of how a lieutenant, a platoon leader, can get thrown under the bus because he puts up a nothing of a message, just touching on how, the weather sucked and we were in a shitty position, so we moved our guys out. That got him removed. But some civilian,
it's cool,
the
lucky
wife
vet.
of the battalion commander that just contacted me, magically received my personal phone number and calls me up about that? There's nothing wrong with OPSEC with that one, huh? A nothing DM talking about how much training sucked because the weather was bad. Giving away a soldier's personal information. Huh. Which one of these seems like it would be a remove from command scenario? And then she's gonna say she got it through some sort of freaking Google website? Give me a break. The lack of integrity in this command astounds me. I feel like their motto is, we're in charge, we know better, we can do no wrong. All these other people, the rules for them don't apply to us because I know better. I'm in charge. I can do no wrong. You have a lack of integrity.
That's called do as I say, not as I do. Or what was the popular one that everybody used this summer? Rules for me and not for thee. That kind of shit. That's what that is. And I ran into that a metric fuck ton when I was in. And I loved those guys. Those were my favorites. Because I loved fucking with them. Their egos were so fucking big. It was so easy to play games. So fucking easy. I loved it. I loved it. I always fucking loved it. Because it's so easy to fuck with guys like that. Because their ego is so big, they have to fucking prove they're this big bad fucking man to everybody. When, we know what your 6 inches really is, okay?
From your battalion commander who's calling me up, giving me a line of shit saying he doesn't know what's going on. You got a lack of integrity from the two of them because the second that shit hits the fan, instead of hitting it head on and saying, you know what, I made a mistake, I should have said it a different way, I want my Joes to get medical treatment, you decide to call CID and shut everybody up and move a platoon leader out of his goddamn company into God knows where he is right now. And if you think that this is the first time that the sergeant major might have flown off the handle a little bit and needs to be rallied up, allow me to give you a second opinion. The story of Sergeant Rackers. That's the only name I'm going to give into this story because somebody told me specifically about them and the travesty that they saw in front of them. Sergeant Rackers allowed, how dare he, his team to wear snivel gear during a movement. Basically when you're rucking along with all your crap, right? Sergeant Major walks around, does inspections, says, hey, why are your guys wearing snivel gear? And he goes, I let them wear it, Sergeant Major. It's Army issued. He goes, no, that's bullshit, reams him out in front of his guys, and then removes him right then and there from being their team sergeant. Why? Wasn't their gear military issued? Was there a specific...
And before he jumps into his whole spiel on this is something that I had a massive fucking problem with when I was in. How the fuck would you rather me freeze my goddamn balls off than allow me to wear a piece of fucking clothing that the military issued me? Are you that fucking stupid? Okay, so you're not fucking cold. But hey, guess what? You're a fat fuck. Not all of us are fat fucks like you. Not all of us are 300 motherfucking pounds like you. So yeah, I need a little bit of fucking extra padding, asshole. Dude, that's the shit that pissed me the fuck off while I was in. Like, don't put your hands in your fucking pockets. Or my favorite was, so we had the cargo pockets on our pants. And when I was in Italy, I would put my notebook in my cargo pocket. Now, they told me, take that shit out of your pocket. And I was like, well, why? And they were like, because that's not what your pockets are for. I looked at that motherfucker and I said, so you mean to tell me the last 19 years of my fucking life I've been wrong about what motherfucking pockets are for? Are you serious? Shut the fuck up. I'm putting shit in my pockets because that's what motherfucking pockets are meant for. McCoy, do some fucking push-ups. Goddamn fucking A right, I will. For that shit, hell yeah. But dude, that's the dumb shit right there. That's that dumb shit. Like, there's a lot of shit that I loved about the military. Discipline's number one, because you don't see discipline out in the real world. There's so much lack of fucking discipline. Most people can't even show up on time to a fucking job. So, you know, what the fuck do I know, though? Let me jump over here to chat real quick. Hey, McCoy, I'll pay you to make an edit of Joe Biden falling up the stairs with his Chuck Norris sniper. That would be fucking great. Dude, I wish I could fucking edit like that, man. I'm terrible at fucking editing. I'm trying to get better. Like, I would rather evolve my equipment around me to sound better so I don't have to do as much editing. Like, and just so this setup right here, just this little boom arm for the mic, dude, this was like $20. So it's not like I'm spending a fortune. And I mean, that included the cover, like all of it. That was only $20. So it's not like I spent a fortune on a lot of this shit. Like, it's simple shit. Even my lighting, like I have 3 like little spotlights. That's all I got. 3 little spotlights all up on top there. So it's not expensive. It was like $8 a fucking light. I'm not spending outrageous money on getting this shit done. Plus, I mean, if only you guys could actually like see the floor in here and see that there's like no fucking tiling. There's only half of it is like tiled still, because I pulled the other half, just like I literally lifted and the whole thing came off the floor because the glue was all rotted and shit. Because it never leaked in my basement before, ever, not until we moved in, never. But the glue was all rotted. I'm just a big old fucking dum-dum. That's basically what it is. If it's issued, you can fucking wear it. The end. Abso-fucking-lutely. When I was on my way out, I had an NCO that told me that I had to go rebuy shit when I was a month away from getting the fuck out. Told me I had to go rebuy shit. My cold weather gear. And I looked at him and I said, am I turning that shit back in? And he said, no. Then why the fuck do I care about going and getting more of it? What the fuck is the point of that? Well, you need to have it. I look at my boy and I was like, dude, can I borrow your shit for a second? Hey, look at that. I got it. Hey, you want that shit back now? Look at that. You counted it. I said, look at that. It looks like I had it, didn't it? Well, you can't do that. Well, I ain't gonna buy another one. So, well, you have to. Well, are you gonna buy it for me? No. Then I'm not fucking buying one. Unless you're buying it for me. I don't give a fuck. I don't need to turn it back in when I get out. So why the fuck am I gonna replace it? Didn't use it before? Ain't used it in 6 motherfucking years? Why the fuck am I worried about it? Yeah, I know. That's what I say. Like, I miss the hell out of the camaraderie. I miss the hell out of my brothers and being able to be with my homies every fucking day. But I don't miss the dumbassery and the dumb bullshit and just the dumbasses in general. Like, that's the shit that I don't miss at all. Oh, and we got $5. We got a super chat from Harry Potter. $5. Good to see you live, bro. Still miss the BS, to be honest. I do, man. I get it. I always will. I appreciate the $5, man. We got acidic wheels here. Here's mine to look up. Space Force Basic Training by Angry Cops. Yeah, I'll get to it once I get done with this. I'm gonna do MrBallen after this because he came out with some spooky shit, and I really want to react to that. But after that, we'll see how much time we've put in, and if I don't get it to on this one, it will be the first thing that I react to this week. So we will see if we get there.
Specific directive, Sergeant Major, in which you said they can't wear their snivel gear or any other specific gear? Because if there was a limitation on what they could or could not wear for that training movement, right, I'm sure it would be in the composite risk management, wouldn't it? And don't you save those? So let's say that somebody wanted to see why Sergeant Rackers was removed from being a team sergeant, and then they found out it was because he let his guys wear some snivel gear. And you said, well, let me see that composite risk management. Was it in there that they couldn't? I bet you 100 fucking years of service in the Army that it wasn't. What do you think, guys are walking around in Afghanistan without wearing something to keep them warm? Suffering is a hell of a teacher, but to suffer for the sake of suffering is nonsense. Now here's my AAR.
That's what
and
I'm
I'll
saying.
make this short and sweet. Stop micromanaging. You've got NCOs in charge of these lower enlisted and senior NCOs in charge of them. They're gonna know whether or not the individual soldiers at MedRoll are a turd that wants to get out of training or a good kid that is just stuck because he's got some trench foot and he wants to make sure he's not gonna be jacked up. A team sergeant knows his Joes 10 times better than a battalion sergeant major will any day of the week. I can only imagine the fear that these kids have when they want to do something right. My next point would be communication and clarification. Hey, senior NCOs, if the sergeant major wrongfully tells your battalion that he's going to negatively counsel Joes for getting medical treatment, you need to go up to him and be like, hey, Sergeant Major, you can't do that. You need to rephrase that real quick or we will. What do you want us to say? And side note, you as senior NCOs, first sergeants, platoon sergeants, need to look down at your Joes and say, listen, I'm gonna go to bat for you. If your feet are fucked up and you really feel like they're jacked and you need some help, go to MedRoll. But we're not gonna deny you medical treatment, no matter what Sergeant Major says, because he's so high in his own piss. I feel that this situation can all come down to integrity, which to me is the most pivotal and all-encompassing value of the Army values. What's honorable? Integrity's honorable. You know, it takes personal courage, standing up and doing the right thing. Integrity. You know, it takes selfless service, putting yourself out there in front of your Joes, knowing that you need to lead the way to show them what's right. Integrity.
Yes,
I can go on. Now, once again, this being an after-action review, how do you get on top of something that's spiraling out of control? Integrity. Just like the 10th Mountain Sergeant Major decided to do when that ridiculous video of his young Joes trying to clear rooms and them flagging the piss out of everybody blew up to the world. Push forward and correct it. Own your Joes, own your mistakes, push forward and correct it. People respect that. Not pretending like it didn't happen. On a personal note, I love the Army. I love the Army and I love being a drill sergeant. When I made these videos and started doing comedy shit 10 years ago, I knew that at some point in my career, I was never gonna be promoted again. I am a career E6. I will be. I'll never see a promotion board.
No,
and I'm never gonna go, oh, and I'm never gonna go.
Congress will never accept him as being an E7 or an E8 or anything like that. I'm sorry. That's hey, at least he knows, man. At least he knows. But dude, I feel the same way though. I could have been a career E5, career E6. I don't know if I want to be a fucking career drill sergeant though, man. That's some. I want to let you take care of the babies first, and then you let them come to me, and I'll handle the rest. I'll chisel it out from there. But yeah, no, I don't. I'm not good with the massery. I'm not delicate, and by any means. But I know they don't need delicate, but they really don't need me because I'm not gonna make them feel much better. So.
Warrant. I was already kicked back from warrant because of these videos. Not becoming of what a warrant officer should be. I am here
What?
For you, an Forever E6 with my hat, going down on basic training trails until I'm too damn old to run and my knees are shit and I'm marching with crutches. I can't solve all the problems that you want to send me. I can't solve each individual VA case. I can't look into why you were counseled for some bullshit. But whenever something like this erupts and you got nowhere to go, Big Joe gonna take care of you.
Fucking A right. Love you,
Which
dude.
reminds me to tell you that this video is sponsored by Dude.
Oh, I hit my fucking toe.
On that note, I can't tell you how proud I am. Oof, I'm gonna get fucking teary-eyed. Fucking so, God, I love the Army.
I fucking love him, man. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. And you will never hear me talk shit, man. You'll never, ever, ever hear me talk shit about that, man. Hey, look, I get it. It is emotion. There are times where I will talk about shit from the Army and I just get, I get so overwhelmed with either happiness or excitement or just going back to that time and I start tearing up. It's not even, it's just joy. Like I have joy, an overwhelming feeling of joy. And it just, I start crying. Like I have hope for our military. I do, because of men like him who are still in and who are still pushing people to be integral fucking soldiers, who are still pushing people to be better humans. And I really respect that man. He's a good, he is a great man. Love him to death. I really do. I think he is what not only our military needs, but he's what our country and our world need. We need more men like him. People who are not scared to go to bat, because there are too many E7s out there. If there's ever an E7 that sees this video, I just want you to remember something. It takes an act of Congress to demote you. There's a lot of shit you can fucking get away with saying. Stop being a little fucking bitch. Your job is to take care of soldiers. You're not fucking officers. You're not even half the time. All you are is a platoon sergeant. And I'm talking just E7s. I had an E7 that would never see E8 or higher because he actually gave a shit about his fucking soldiers and never allowed the command to take the bullshit and throw it at the soldiers without at least him having something to say as to, that's fucking stupid, or we're not fucking doing that because I said we're not gonna fucking do that because that's fucking stupid. And I'm so thankful that I had him as a leader. He was a bad motherfucker. He was a ranger. He was back in Ranger Battalion back in the day, ended up in 173rd with us over in Afghanistan, and that man was a bad motherfucker. And he stood up for his soldiers. That's why he lost his platoon before us. He lost us as a platoon, and then they threw him out in the middle of fucking nowhere so that he couldn't take care of soldiers anymore. That's what they fucking did to that man. They wronged him so fucking badly. And he was such an incredible fucking leader. He made you want to actually be a part of it. And that's what I'm talking about from a fucking leader. They should make you want to actually fucking be there. They should make you want to be a part of the brotherhood, a part of the fucking team. That's a fucking leader. And I didn't really feel that with many others within that group of guys. That man went to bat for us many times. That man kept us out of dumb shit many fucking times. And I'm so thankful that we had him. But then, like I said, he kept us out of the dumb shit. And they wanted us in the dumb shit. So, you can do the math on that. It ended up dumb shit. And he was gone. And that man was very upset when that happened. Because he had come to love us like his own family. And it was hard to walk away from that. And it was hard for us to watch him react like that to what happened. But we could see who he was as a man. So, I love that man. I always will. He's one of the best humans I know. One of the baddest humans that I know also. But yeah, that's it for those two angry cops, man. I'm appalled, but I'm not surprised. by that command. Welcome to the military. The command has always done shit like that. And anybody who knows the military can tell you that exclusively. That's not unusual. It happens quite often. It really does, and it's fucking sad, man. But we got MrBallen. There he is. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I love his stories, man. I'm sorry. They're so fucking good. They're so fucking good. Okay. Oh, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Which I tried to do a reaction to this one right here, and I'm still learning my system a little bit. So instead of being clicked on my screen over here, because I'm running two screens, I got my screen over here, which is running like my actual comments and all that. And then I got my screen over here, which is the one that I'm watching and has my camera. So when I hit the space bar to start the video, I actually paused my recording and I fucked it all up. And then when I paused the video, I started another. Well, no, then it didn't start back up. It didn't start back up again until I clicked back over here because it's right. I clicked over here to start it up, and I had. Yes, I was a dumbass. I fucked that up. I'm sorry, guys. I really wish I could have gotten that recorded. It was such a good one too. It wasn't one of my favorites, but it was a good one. But honestly, his scary but spooky true ones, those are my fucking favorites. They really are. The ones that make me sit there, "Oh!" Like, dude, those are that's it. That's it.
Today, I'm going to
Hey, man, enjoy that shower. Actually, I will be right back. I'm gonna go grab myself a can of chew because this is about to be a good one, and I want to make sure I have a chewing. So I'll be right back, guys. All right, I am back. Oh. So actually, before we jump into this, I want to let you guys know I'm gonna be putting So fuck it. I'll be right back one more time. So this is what I ran to grab real quick. I'm going to be setting up a pop area right over here. Going to be doing shelves and stuff. Put my pops up because it's something that you guys probably don't know about me. I am a large collector of pops. I collect. I've got almost all of the Deadpool Dorbs there are out there. So yeah, I think there's a handful of Deadpool Dorbs that I do not have I know one of the ones that I've tried to get my hands on now for a few years, but I can't fathom spending that kind of money on that because I have kids and a family and a roof that still leaks and a basement that leaks and a wall that needs to get fixed and a spigot that needs to get replaced and just a whole house that needs to get rewired electrically. I got a lot of work I got to get done first, so $100 for a little door that's like this big, probably about 2 to 3 inches. It's not plausible for me right now. So, but yeah, I actually have to rewire my whole house. I've been having electrical problems where my electrical goes in and out. Like I'll be using an outlet and it'll be working that day, and then I'll go back to use the same outlet and it's not fucking working anymore. And then I'll go back and use the outlet again and it's working again. That's the kind of shit I got going on in my house. So it's fucking insane for sure. But I'm gonna go ahead and start this. Oh, you know what? Let me read in the comments real quick. Let's see, McCoy I want to be an officer, warrant officer pilot, but not sure I'm gonna do it because it's gone too. Dude, if you were gonna do it, that honestly, I'm telling you, that's the way to go. Back before I got injured. Well, more than anything, before I got out, because even when I was injured, I was still contemplating whether I wanted to stay in and go for warrant pilot myself. After I injured myself, like back when my injury actually happened, I was starting to train to go out for SFAS, which is Special Forces Assessment and Selection, which I knew a lot of the cadre that were a part of that at that time. So, I had a slot if I wanted it. There was no question about that. But because of my injury and not being able to get my elbow to act the way it should have, just the amount of pain that I went through on a daily fucking basis, it wasn't plausible, and there was no way in hell I was going to be able to keep up with their pace. And I've seen what they go through there. There was no way in fuck. Look, I don't give a shit. If you say you've watched those shows that, I've watched the special ops shows where they show you the easy shit. If you really think that's it, okay. That's the easy shit. Oh, you don't want to see the nightmarish shit that I've seen. I won't tell you what it is because, honestly, I don't want you to fucking know what it is. I want you to find out how everybody else does. I ain't going to give you that leg up. Fuck that. It's a suck fest for them, and yeah, I may have known, but guess what? I put in a little bit of time for me to find out, so if you're one of them little greenies in the army, I ain't telling you shit. You went in as an 18X? Good fucking luck, man. You have no idea what you signed up for. That is going to be some fun for you, sir. Enjoy it. But no, warrant officer pilot, great way to go. 100%. Dude, if you can do it, start studying for it now. Right now. And that is actually something that would be my suggestion to anybody who is looking at the military and wants to join the military. Always remember you can become a pilot in the Army also. You can go fly helicopters. Now, don't think that you're just going to all of a sudden become a night crawler overnight, which it's the 106 SOAR. Don't think that you're going to become a part of SOAR over fucking night. Look, I could have been a part of SOAR, and I was actually offered to me a few times, and I was stupid and I didn't fucking do it. I should have. Honestly, it probably would have kept me out of some fucking trouble. But, yeah, I got offered SOAR and, God, what's the other one? Delta. I got offered to do SOAR and Delta. And I said no. Because I wanted to have a life. So, I look back on that decision and I'm not sure that I look, I'm happy with my family, but it would have been a lot of fucking fun. That would have been so much fun. I would have learned some of the craziest shit ever. So, it is what it is. I'm thankful for the life that I have now. I really am. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. But it would have been a cool fucking adventure, man. For sure. Would have been a cool adventure. Let's see. Man, you get a time. Check out MrBallen, biggest military fail in history. That's actually one I want to do a reaction to that. I don't want to do it on my own time. I've already blown a lot of videos for myself from MrBallen to be able to react to, because like I said, I went to his paranormal playlist and I just fucking hit play when I was at work and listened to every single fucking one. So I'm being very careful with how I'm doing MrBallen now, because he is so fucking addicting. His storytelling is so fucking crisp and concise and perfect. You don't get lost with the story like you would with me telling a fucking story, because, you know, you have an ADHD child trying to tell you a fucking story. It's like squirrel. So, but let's go ahead and jump into MrBallen.
Share 3 stories that scared me. But before we get into those stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right channel, because that's all we do, and we upload 3 or 4 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please kidnap the like button, tie them up, and then forcibly brush their teeth, and then make them drink orange juice afterwards. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories.
I love what he's doing. And by the way, I gotta make sure I hit the like button for him, because his shit's always so beautifully done. The way he wants you to hit that like button.
In 2010, Kayla was a senior at the University of California, Santa Barbara, a big party school. And one Friday evening, Kayla and her friends were at a big party, and Kayla was having a great time, but she was starting to feel really tired. And so she asked her friends if maybe they wanted to leave early, but none of them did. And so Kayla left on her own. Luckily, her house was just down the road, and so she was at her front door in a matter of minutes. That night, her 2 roommates, who were also college seniors, had decided to stay in and just have a nice night with a couple of friends having some wine. And so when Kayla walked inside, she happened to turn to the right, and she looked on the closest wall where there was a sofa, and she saw there was a guy laying there with a blanket up to his chin, and his eyes were wide open. She didn't recognize him, but he was staring at her, and she figured, oh, he must be a friend of her roommates. But as she walked across the room, she kind of glanced back at him, and he had pulled the covers down slightly, and he had lifted his head up, and he was staring at her kind of menacingly. And so Kayla got a really bad vibe from this guy and just kind of hustled into her room, shut the door behind her, and locked it, something she never did. And a few minutes later, she was in her bed and she was passed out. A couple of hours later, she woke up to what sounded like tapping on wood. And so she sat up in her bed and she's kind of looking around. She had a couple drinks the night before and she's half asleep, so she's a bit disoriented. But finally, when she gets her bearings, she realizes this tapping sound is the sound of someone drumming their fingers on the outside of her door. And so she's looking at her door, wondering who would be doing that. And then all of a sudden, the drumming stops, and it's replaced by the sound of this person scratching on the outside of the door.
Dude, yo.
And so now Kayla's thinking, okay, you know, is this guy who was out on that couch, is he
Better have a motherfucking gun. That's all I can say. Yo, what's up, James? Nice to see that you're back. Can't believe that you left, you fucking asshole, you.
Is he playing a joke on me? And so she's sitting there wondering if she should just go over there and open the door and tell him to stop.
Oh,
but before she
don't
gets out
open
of
that
her
motherfucking
bed,
door.
the scratching gets louder and louder and louder until it's so loud that it's kind of menacing. And so Kayla decides she's not going to go out there. And so instead, she pulls out her phone and she texts her roommate and says, hey, can you please come out in the living room and take care of your friend who's harassing me? But she doesn't get a response from that roommate, and the scratching is just still loud as ever. And so she texts her other roommate the same message, come out and take care of your buddy here. But again, she doesn't get a response. And now the scratching on the door has stopped, and it's been replaced by jiggling of her doorknob. And so now Kayla is just mad, because this is obviously a prank, and it's a dumb prank. And so she yells out, hey, stop! But it doesn't do anything. And so now Kayla's like, okay, I gotta call my roommates, wake them up, they'll come out and they'll handle it. And so she calls one of her roommates, and they do pick up this time. And Kayla angrily tells them, hey, come out into the living room and tell your friend to knock it off. He's totally harassing me. And her roommate was confused. She's trying to make sense of what Kayla's saying, and she says, Kayla, you know, what are you talking about? What friend are you talking about? And Kayla says, the guy sleeping on the couch, the guy in our living room sleeping on the couch. And her roommate said, Kayla, we didn't have anybody over last night. Is somebody out there? You need to call the police. Kayla's adrenaline surged, and she very calmly told her roommate, lock your door immediately. And right then she noticed the jiggling of her doorknob and the scratching, and it all stopped. And Kayla's wondering, where did this guy go? And then after a couple of seconds, she heard extremely loud banging coming from across the house where her two roommates shared a room. And it was the sound of this guy trying to smash down their door. And so Kayla's screaming, her roommates are screaming. Kayla manages to dial up 911, and before long there are sirens outside, and Kayla hears the sound of this guy run across the house, and she hears the sliding door open and shut. The police come inside, they search the property, and there's no sign of this guy, and so Kayla and the roommates come outside, they talk to the police, and the police bring them over to their side door, and they show them on the outside there was all sorts of scratch marks all over the doorknob and right around the latch. And they said it looks like he was able to jimmy his way into your house through this door. And so then they asked the girls to give their statement about what happened. And they started with Kayla. They went over to her bedroom door so she could demonstrate what happened. And that's when they noticed there were all these scratch marks and gouge marks all over the outside of her bedroom door, and all over the doorknob and all over the latch. And on the ground was a pair of scissors and a knife. And the police told Kayla that it looks like he used those scissors and that knife to open up the side door, and he was trying to use those tools again to open up her door, but for whatever reason he just couldn't do it.
What's up,
they told
Sniper
Kayla
Gang?
that most likely when she went
I don't
to
know
the
about
front
tonight.
door, she caught this guy off guard. Maybe he was trying to rob the
this
place.
week I will.
Maybe he had just broken
For
in,
sure.
but either way, Kayla got in and ruined his plans. And so he leapt onto that sofa, the one against that inner wall, to kind of tuck himself away in hopes that maybe Kayla wouldn't look over and see him. And they told her that most likely when she made eye contact with him, she became a witness and therefore a target of opportunity. And had she not locked her door, who knows what would have happened.
Yo. If something don't feel fucking right in your home, do not hesitate to say something. And also, this is why it's always a good idea to get a fucking gun. What? There are too many little lefties now that went out and got guns. If you don't have a fucking gun yet, yo, you're fucking up. I'm sorry. With the day and age that we are living in and the crazy stupid shit that's going on right now, y'all gotta be aware of what's happening. People are getting fucking nuts. Protect yourself, because I guarantee you it took at least 5 minutes for the police to show up. It takes longer for police to get there than it is for you to pull a fucking trigger and save your own life. I'm just saying. I don't condone violence by any fucking means. But I do say, do not allow yourself to be a fucking victim. Ever.
In 2004, 16-year-old Misty Tasker was a typical American teenager living in Live Oak, Florida, which is a small rural town right in the middle of the state. One Saturday evening in January, she and her mother attended a church service. Afterwards, they hopped in her mother's truck and they got on the country highway and began making their way home. Their house was just 20 minutes down this highway. It was a straight shot. And this highway was pretty desolate. There were no street lights. It was actually a dirt road despite being a highway. And it was just thick forest.
James, you don't have firearms. I don't believe that by any fucking means. You're a goddamn lying sack of shit. I know you.
On both sides of the road the entire way. There were no buildings or houses between the church and their neighborhood. Misty's mother was already a very angry.
See, I don't carry a mom. I have mine, we'll say, strategically placed. I have egress points. I'll just put it that way. You should always have egress points in your home. It's very important. Always figure out a good egress. And if you don't know what egress is your escape plan. You should always have things stashed around in areas that will make it quicker and more efficient for you to get out. Or to hold up if necessary.
Anxious driver who would keep both hands on the wheel. She would sit up and kind of hunch over the wheel and keep her eyes intently focused on the road. But at night, her driving anxiety would shoot through the roof because she had really bad eyesight. And so she would go to great lengths to not drive at night to avoid that high level of anxiety. But the church service they had just come from had run a little bit long. And so now Misty's mother is driving with the sun starting to set, and she's going as fast as she can to try to get home before
100%, Derek. If you can get your concealed carry, I highly recommend doing so. Do not be one of those people that says, I'm never going to need it. You know how many people have said that and they're not with us anymore? I'm just saying. Do not allow yourself to be the next victim. Only you can take your safety seriously. You're the only one who takes care of yourself. Never forget that. The police cannot show up in a moment's notice. It is not possible.
It gets too dark. And so as they're bombing down this road at about 55 miles an hour, despite it being about a 40-mile-per-hour zone, Misty, who's in the passenger seat, just happens to look over at her mother for no particular reason. And as she's looking at her, she notices out her mother's window, it looks like there's a little girl sitting on the side of the road. What's a child doing out here in the middle of nowhere? She says to her mom, I think
Always
I
be
just saw a
careful if
little
you got
girl.
little ones.
And Misty's mother, who's high up on the wheel, she did not hear Misty the first time. She's just focused on driving and trying to get home.
Well, I'm glad that I could be the one to say your name right. It's funny there. I live on a street. It's spelled a way that most people wouldn't pronounce it correctly. Well, it depends where you're from. Your pronunciation of my street, and it's funny. I've heard it pronounced both ways. You got one way of saying it, and you got another way of saying it, and I laugh because I've heard both ways, and it's all about the pronunciation, and if you know people, really, if you understand culture more than anything. You can look at certain names and know what they're supposed to be, and you can look at Angelica. That's a good name. You could look at it and see Angelica, or you can look at it and see Angelica. So it just depends. It all depends. So that's why I say you can look at my street and you could say it two different ways. There are definitely two different ways of saying it.
And so Misty says again, I think I just saw a little girl. We need to go back. I don't know what she's doing, but I feel like we need to go back and make sure she's okay. And so Misty's mom looks over at her and she's not prepared to turn the car around. That means staying out later, and it means she's going to be driving in even darker conditions. And so she's like, did you really see someone? Because we got to get home. And Misty's like, Mom, I'm pretty sure I saw a little girl. We have to go back. And so finally, Misty's mother, she's very annoyed, but she stops the car, she does a 3-point turn, and she begins driving back up the road where they came from towards this girl. Now, they had only made it about a half mile from where Misty believed she had seen this girl.
Actually, XMC, that's my best friend from the military. We served together. So, yes, I do watch him. I talk to him regularly. So, yes, that is my
so
best.
Pretty quickly, they slowed down because Misty said, I think she's in this area. And they both began scanning the right side of the road because that's where she's going to be now that they've turned around. Now, it was starting to get very dark outside, but there was enough light and they had headlights. They were pretty confident they'd be able to spot this girl. And so as they're slow rolling down the road, they both see this girl a little ways up on the right-hand side. Her back was to the road. She had her knees tucked up to her chest and she was rocking back and forth. Misty's mother made a comment that it was a little bit surprising that this girl was out here. I mean, there's really nothing around here. There's no houses, there's no buildings, there's no trails to be walking in this forest on either side. It was just kind of thick forest. And so she just thought
I know
it was
he's
very
live. I knew
strange
he
that
was
this
going to be
girl would
going live
even be
tonight.
out here, especially because there's not any traffic on this road. And so Misty's mother began slowly rolling up to her, and she told her daughter that instead of just stopping right away, let's just drive past her and get a look at her, and then we'll turn around and see if she needs any help. And so as they got right up next to her, they realized she was not a little girl. She was a young teenager, but she was not a young child. And as they drove right past her, they would expect her to turn around and acknowledge the car creeping up on her, considering there's no other traffic in the area and you're just some person sitting on the side of the road. You should definitely turn around and see what's behind you. But the girl did not acknowledge them. She just continued to have her knees up to her chest and rocked back and forth. And so Misty and her mother are a little bit freaked out by this, but they drive past her about 50 meters. Misty's mother does a 3-point turn, and when they're looking back down the road, where the girl should now be on their left-hand side, they're oriented back towards their house now, she wasn't there anymore. But there were no streetlights. It was now almost completely pitch dark outside, and so all they had was the headlights. And so Misty told her mom, drive up a little ways. Maybe the girl stood up and moved, and we just can't see her because she's not in the headlights. And so Misty's mom began driving down the road and kind of turning slightly towards the left to shine the light more to the left. but there was no sign of this girl. For good measure, they turned right slightly to shine the lights more to the right-hand side of the road, but there was no sign of this girl. And so Misty and her mother just slow rolled back down the road, kind of keeping their eye out on both sides. But after traveling for several minutes, going about 5-10 miles an hour and seeing no sign of this girl, they decided that, well, she must have just gone back into the woods and gone back to wherever it was she came from. And so Misty's mom began picking up speed, and before long they had gone maybe 2 or 3 miles away from where they'd seen this girl, and they were coming up to this 4-way intersection with stop signs all around. And as they were getting close, Misty's mother gasped, because on the other side of the intersection, on the right-hand side, was this girl sitting on the side of the road. She's got her back to the road, her knees are up, and she's rocking back and forth. And so Misty's mother pulls up the stop sign and then just sits there. And both women are just stunned at what they're looking at. They had just seen her 2-3 miles back down the road. It wasn't possible for her to get all the way up here. And so Misty's mother looks at her daughter and says, you know, do you think it's a different girl? And Misty's like, no, that's the same girl. And so they just sat there for a minute until Misty started to panic.
Oh, no,
And she said to her
you're
mom,
good.
Mom, don't stop. I got a bad feeling about this girl. I don't know what's going on, but you can't stop next to this girl. But Misty's mom, she was definitely weirded out by this situation, no doubt. But she didn't feel good about abandoning this girl in the middle of the night on the side of the highway. And so even though she felt a little bit hesitant herself, she told Misty, you know, we have to at least drive past her and ask if she's okay. That's the least we can do. And Misty was not having it. She said, Mom, do not stop. I got a bad feeling about this. Don't stop near this girl. But Misty's mom let up off the brake and began slow rolling past this intersection. And now at this point, Misty is just absolutely terrified. And so she takes her seatbelt off and she goes down into the footwell right in front of her seat. And she closes her eyes and covers her ears, and she just continues to beg her mother to just please keep going. Don't stop. But her mother just continues on until she stops right next to this girl who's still just sitting on the side of the road with her back to the road. She's got her knees up. She's rocking back and forth. She's not acknowledging Misty or her mother. And so Misty's mother turns to her daughter and says, please roll down your window. And Misty refuses. She's still down in the footwell, still in the fetal position.
Nope.
She's crying and she's still begging her mother to please just go home.
I
And so
wouldn't either.
Misty's mother, frustrated, reaches across the passenger seat and grabs the knob to roll down the window manually. So she rolls the window down, and Misty, who's down in the footwell, all she remembers is sitting there covering up her ears, and she's crying, and she opens her eyes and she's looking up towards her mom, who's reaching over the seat, and her mom yells out to this girl. And Misty remembers looking at her mom, who suddenly recoils in horror and screams, and then they take off like crazy, flying down the road. Misty jumps out of the footwell, and she's looking at her mom, and she's like, what's happening? What just happened? What did you see? And her mom's got her hand over her mouth, and she's speeding down the road, and she's crying now, and she's looking at Misty, and she just doesn't have the words to describe what she just saw. And so Misty's asking her mom, what did you see? What happened? And finally, her mother just said,
What the
she
fuck?
didn't have a face. She didn't have a face. It was hollow. There was nothing on her face when she looked at me. And so Misty screams and she's crying, and her mom is
the
crying, and they
fuck?
speed home. They're home just a couple of minutes later, and they run inside, practically falling over each other to get in the house. And as soon as they get inside, Misty's mom calls 911, and she didn't even know how to describe what she just saw. But she knew it was too embarrassing to try to describe it as some girl without a face sitting by the highway. And so she just told the police that they had seen a girl they think needs help. And so the police, they went out and they searched that entire stretch of highway. They looked for any sign of anybody out there, but there wasn't. There was never any trace of that girl.
Dude, that's fucking
In 2016,
scary.
a 25-year-old Wall Street
That's
banker
sketchy
named
as
Matt
fuck.
was camping near Mount Rainier.
Oh my god, I'm gonna pause it. Dude, that is so sketchy. Oh my god. Like, yo, man. That would sketch that. I'm sorry, I'm not. I don't know if I would say anything. Because yo, it's like that's shit time. That's shit time. You don't do shit when you don't stop when it's dark like that. I'm sorry. If you can barely see someone's fucking face, I'm not stopping. I'm not. I might be like, sweetheart, you okay? And that looks up at me, you're gonna hear pop, 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 and then I'm out. I'm gonna tell him straight up, yo, I don't know what the fuck that was, but I don't think it's with us anymore. Because Yeah, fuck that. Nope. Nope. Mm-mm. And by the way, Trey, you congratulations on getting over soda, man. That's good. That's good shit. I'm working on that myself. That's 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 hard. That's rough shit. And yes, we are doing some scary stories. This is MrBallen. He does this is one of his paranormals. So I like his paranormal stories. His paranormals usually revolve around demons and shit like that, and that's something that's kind of up my avenue. I've been getting a little more into the heavens and the hell. So it's very interesting stuff to me because there's a lot of activity that happens here nowadays that makes me question what's happening currently. There's a lot of correlations between what's going on now and angels and demons. It's kind of crazy.
In Washington State. His job was so hectic that in the rare times he got a chance to, he would disappear into the wilderness for a few days to clear his head. Despite living in one of the biggest cities in the world, Matt was actually a very competent outdoorsman.
I hope I don't hear any
So for
worse.
this trip, he decided he would stay way off any trail, deep in the backcountry in random locations. On the first night, he found a nice clearing in the trees, and so he set up his campsite there. He ate some food over his fire, he pitched his tent, climbed inside, and within a few minutes, he was fast asleep. Several hours later, Matt woke up to some strange sounds coming from outside of his tent. It sounded like a couple of animals or maybe one animal moving around right outside. And so after a while of just hearing this constant sound, he rolled over and he barely unzipped his tent flap just to look out and see if he could see whatever animal it was. And what he saw shocked him. There was a man sitting in front of his fire pit. There was no fire in his fire pit. And the guy was just sitting there with his hands on his knees, looking straight down. And periodically, he would just kick his feet in the ashes of the fire pit. And Matt didn't even know what to do, so he's just looking at him through this little tiny gap in his tent. And this man all of a sudden looks up directly at Matt and makes eye contact with him. And the guy's eyes go wide, and he stands up, turns around, and runs away from Matt's campsite. Matt has no idea how to react to this, and so he just quickly unzips his tent, jumps outside, and shines his light into the forest looking for this guy. He's thinking to himself, who is this guy? I am in the middle of nowhere in the backcountry of Washington State. How long was he sitting outside there for? What does he want? And so as Matt is trying to make sense of this totally weird thing, he's thinking, okay, I'm going to look out and I'm going to see his flashlight somewhere, or I'm going to see his campsite. You know, maybe he's set up nearby, and he's looking around into the total darkness. He's looking through all the trees. Any light source anywhere out there he would see. And there's not one. There's no fire. There's no flashlight. There is nothing. And so eventually Matt goes back inside of his tent, he zips it up, and he's just left kind of dumbfounded. He can't understand how some person was just sitting outside of his tent for no apparent reason and then vanished into the forest without even turning on a flashlight. And so after a very restless night, finally the sun came up again and Matt was very relieved. He stepped outside. And after a little bit of time now from this strange incident, Matt started to tell himself that all that was is some guy happened to set up his campsite nearby. It is possible, albeit rare because we're in the backcountry. And maybe he was just intoxicated and he wandered over here and, you know, stranger things have happened. So that's probably all it was. And so Matt felt like there was nothing to worry about. He packed up his campsite and he began hiking into the forest. Matt didn't have a planned route. Instead, he had a map and a compass, and he began just kind of wandering in the forest, kind of exploring wherever he wanted to go. And over the next 2 days, he covered at least 10, maybe 15 miles in kind of random zigzag directions. He found a nice clearing and he set up another campsite. That night, he set up a fire and he was eating some food near his fire. And then as he's sitting there, he hears rustling coming from behind him. And he's pretty sure it's an animal, so he turns around and he doesn't see anything. And he goes back to eating his food. And then a little while later, he hears some more rustling behind him. And this time, he can't really just write it off. Clearly, there is something behind him that's moving around. And so he stood up, turned around, and remained motionless and just listened, expecting to see maybe a deer come out of the woods. But instead, he hears a man's voice come out of the darkness that says,
Do you know how to get to Bell's Canyon?
And Matt's heart starts racing. He knows that even though he can't see him, it has to be the same guy he saw 2 days ago. Because they are in the middle of nowhere. He hasn't seen any other hikers or campers or anyone. And clearly this guy has the ability to sneak up on him. And so he's thinking, what does this guy want? I just spent the past 2 days hiking in random directions for 15 miles, and he must have followed me. And so Matt, not knowing what else to do, just says, I don't know where Bell's Canyon is. And then there's silence. And Matt, one part of him is thinking, I hope this guy does not come into the light. I hope he just goes away. The other part of him is thinking, well, maybe this is a different person that is lost and they're looking for this place called Bell's Canyon and they'll come into the light. It'll be a big relief. I'll send them on their merry way and everything will be fine. But as Matt is having this wishful thinking, the voice from the shadows does not come any closer, but instead asks the same question a bit more forcefully this time.
Do you know how to get to Bell's Canyon?
This time, Matt did not respond. Now he was scared. This is not some friendly hiker looking for directions. There's something wrong. And so Matt, knowing he's all alone out here, he knew he had to do something to try to take control of this situation. And so he took a deep breath, he reached down and grabbed his flashlight, and in one swift motion, he lifted his light up and shined it in the direction of this guy's voice. And what he saw was this guy from 2 days ago looking out from behind a tree right in Matt's direction. He was hiding from him. And when the light hit him, the man barked at Matt to aim it away. And Matt kind of instinctively lowered his light, but now he was too scared to raise it again, and now he knows it's the same guy. This guy has been following me for 2 days. And so for several minutes, Matt just stood there absolutely terrified, and this guy, he just stayed out there. Matt didn't hear him move. It was just a complete standstill. And then the silence was broken yet again by this voice, except somehow he had moved even closer to Matt. And when he came through asking the same question,
Do you know how to get to Bell's Canyon?
His voice was so close to Matt that Matt got scared and raised his light up, and the man was standing just a few feet away from him. And this time, the man's eyes got wide like they did the first time they saw Matt, and he turned around and he ran into the forest again. Matt, not knowing any better, just began running after him, but he only ran for about 30 seconds before he realized the terrain out here is so rough. He's gonna fall, get hurt, he's gonna get lost, and this guy's already long gone. He somehow managed to run immediately so far away, and so Matt just goes back to his campsite, and he's thinking to himself, what do I do? I have no cell phone service. I'm at least 3 days away from my car, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. No one even knows where I am because I didn't chart a course. I didn't tell anyone where I was gonna be. And so Matt just grabbed his knife and stood in the middle of the campsite, and for hours and hours, he just kept looking around, expecting this guy to just show up again or start speaking to him from somewhere out in the darkness. It was absolutely horrifying. Finally, by about 3 in the morning, Matt was so tired that he had to go to sleep. He hadn't heard this guy again, he didn't see him again, and he figured, I need a little bit of sleep because tomorrow he's gonna pack up his campsite and begin this epic journey back to his car. And so he climbed in his tent and he had a very restless next couple of hours. And then the sun came up, Matt jumped out of his tent, packed up his stuff, and began practically running in the direction of his car. All day as he was hiking, Matt kept looking over his shoulder, expecting to see this guy, because clearly he had followed him for multiple days over 15 miles, and so the likelihood that he's still following him was really high. And so all day, Matt just felt like he was being watched, he was totally terrified, and then the sun started to go down, and Matt knew he would have to camp out again. And so he found a clearing in the trees, he set up his campsite, and he was so tired from running basically all day and being so mentally exhausted from this experience that he just got in his tent and fell asleep very quickly. But several hours later, he woke up to the sound of somebody walking around his tent, and he knew it had to be this guy. He's still in the middle of nowhere. He's not even close to the parking lot yet. And so this guy is still following him. And so Matt sat up in his tent, he clutched his knife, and for hours and hours and hours, all night, this guy just walked around his campsite. And then around 4 or 5 in the morning, he scampered off. When the sun finally came up, Matt leapt out of his tent, packed up his stuff, and literally just began running in the direction of his car, hoping that maybe he could get there before needing to camp out one more night. And so all day as he moved, he's looking over his shoulder, knowing this guy is following him. At this point, it's not even a question. He's somewhere in the forest, but he could never see him.
Oh my God.
And unfortunately, as the sun was setting, he knew he was not going to be able to make it to his car. He was just too far away. And so at some point when it got too dark to keep moving, he had to find a clearing and set up his tent again. And so once his tent was set up, he just climbed inside, grabbed his knife, and sat there, knowing this guy was somewhere out there. And so Matt climbed inside of his tent, he zipped it up behind him, he grabbed his knife, and he sat there, expecting to hear this guy come walking around. But after several hours, he didn't hear him. And Matt started to wonder, maybe this guy has left me alone, finally. Maybe he's not following me anymore. And so Matt, who was totally exhausted, laid down to go to sleep. And then as he's laying there from somewhere out in the woods,
Do you know how to get to Bell's Canyon?
Matt immediately sat up. His heart began racing so fast that he actually was concerned he might have a heart attack. And he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to say, so he just sat there holding his knife. And then this guy began running past his campsite, making animal sounds. And he would stop periodically and moan and grunt, and he'd pick up leaves, and then he'd run past his campsite again, over and over and over again, until the sun finally came up and this guy scampered off back into the woods. Matt didn't waste any time. He leapt out of his tent, packed his stuff up, and ran all the way back to his car. When he finally got inside of his car, shut the door, and locked it, he cried tears of joy. He was so unbelievably relieved. And he peeled out of the parking lot. He got to a nearby hotel. He finally got cell phone reception, and he considered calling the police about this guy, but he thought, what am I going to tell them? He didn't commit a crime. He was just terrifying. And so he decided not to call the police. He finally flew back to New York, and he just had to accept that there was some strange guy out in the wilderness of Washington State who was able to hunt him over 3 days
this will probably be my
30
last
miles
video for
in
tonight.
rugged terrain without the use of a flashlight, without any gear, and all he ever said to Matt was,
Do you know how to get to Bell's Canyon?
So that's going to do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's episode, let us know in the comments what it is and where you found it.
Holy shit, man. That's so fucking creepy. Oh my god. I mean, here's the thing, like, man, this dude, there are so many instances of this in the stories that he tells about going camping in the woods in the middle of nowhere. Dude, there's one that he tells about shit, what was it? Bigfoot. And like the 4 Bigfoot creatures that surrounded this fucking cabin and started literally ripping logs out of the fucking cabin. Like insane shit. They actually shot one of these things. This is real shit. This is real shit. These guys had this like hunting cabin that they had made, and they would go out there every fucking year and never had a problem. And all of a sudden one year they went out there and these big motherfuckers were there. Yo, it's some crazy shit. Like, if you think this is bad, I don't know what to tell you. There's some really, really bad ones that I'm gonna end up reacting to because they are some of my favorites just because they're so fucking, they put you on edge. They really do. Listening to them, I love it though. I'm not sure when the next live is gonna be. My next live, I think, is gonna actually be a podcast, which will be coming up this next weekend. So, look forward to that. I've got to get in contact with my guest, make sure I get all that set up, but look forward to the podcast that's coming this week because there's going to be some big things that I'm going to be trying to get called out during this podcast, and it pertains to the CCP. So that's why I'm super excited about this guest, because they've got some inside information. And it's going to be a fun live, so definitely make sure you guys come in and say hi, and definitely come hang out. This has been a blast, and I got to say a lot of shit about the military on this because and I knew that doing the angry cops was going to push me way past my time because of my experience with the medical industry and the military, and my experience with dealing with shitty command. So I knew I was going to want to do that on a live. There was no way in hell I was going to be able to make an actual video doing that. That would have taken me way too much time because there's so much commentary that I have on that subject matter. But I think that's going to do it for this live this time around. Like I said, I will make sure to get that Angry Cops that is the Space Force Angry Cops. I will be doing a reaction to that. It'll be a standalone, but that will be coming this week also. I think I'm gonna be editing and releasing my fake woke. That'll probably be coming. Just fair warning, that was done on my old computer. Like I said, when I dropped Clown World, I've been sitting on it. I have said some pretty controversial things, so that's why I've been sitting on it. But I don't care. If they're gonna take me down, they're gonna take me down, regardless. Doesn't really matter. So, good night, Shania. Thank you for showing up. I really do appreciate that. Thank you for the love. But we got some big things coming in the future, so definitely look forward to it. The podcast is gonna definitely start becoming a regular thing. I would like to try and get that into a weekly thing. Same with doing some actual reaction lives. I would like to also make that a once a week thing. So we got some stuff coming in the future for sure. I'm pretty excited. Hopefully things go well. And the avenue I'm trying to take, all I'm trying to do is get truth out there for people. That's the big thing. Just want to get truth out there because there's too many lies right now and people don't know what truth is. And that's my job. My job is to call people out, just like my job was to call people out in the army on their bullshit. Ain't nothing gonna change. Just because I ain't in the army anymore doesn't mean there ain't no motherfucking bullshit. But like I said, guys, thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate it. Love you guys so much. XMC fam, dude, y'all are amazing. Thank you for showing me the love that you guys always do. It's unbelievable, and I appreciate everything from you guys. And anything that was thrown in here in the requests, Bert Kreischer. I will be looking into some of his stuff. I love Bert. His last stand up, Hey Big Boy. Oh my god, that shit. I cried. I cried during it because I was laughing so hard. It was so good. What I might do. I was considering this. Let me know what you guys think. I was considering doing an actual full-on reaction to like his entire stand up and then cutting it and putting in like the best parts, like where I thought were the funniest. So y'all let me know what you think about that. You know, I kind of like to do it that way because it's hard for me to just take a certain like section and watch that joke. I like doing the whole thing because he'll make me cry. He will. But that's going to do it for this live, you guys. And hopefully, I will get to see you guys in the next one. I love you, AWG fam, and my XMC fam. Thank you guys yet again so much for all the super chats and for